Hi Harley, so thanks so much for sending the lesson through for review via Skillest, and as promised, here's me just demonstrating a couple of drills that I want you to work on based on the analysis that I've already given. So when it comes to the driver, particularly with setup, this is where I'm going to start. It's super important to set up in a way that's going to encourage that we hit up on the ball. So with the driver, if you think of when we talk about attack angle, what that's talking about is the direction the club's travelling relative to the ground through impact. So if it's travelling very flat, that would be on TrackMan, for example, that would be a 0 number. If we were through impact travelling down with the driver head, that would be a negative number. And if we was moving up, that would be a positive number. So we're trying to get you positive, we're trying to get you hit up as much as possible. If you were to be on TrackMan right now with that pattern you have, it would likely be a negative number, which is not the optimum way to create distance and a good ball speed there with your driver. So I know you've mentioned that slice pattern as well. That can also encourage a bit of a slice pattern the more you hit down on it. So let's get into that setup, which is super important. So firstly, your ball position is great. So you've got that just inside the lead heel, which is wonderful. But just what we see with yourself is the sort of weight more on the front side. You've got the handle a little bit ahead as well, and the body quite a bit ahead. So as discussed on the analysis, I want you to do a couple of things here. Firstly, we need to get your body positioned more behind the ball. So a great drill, if you get the driver, just pop it down the middle of your chest with the butt end of the club pointing down below and tilt forward as you normally would. Now you'll notice currently for yourself, the tail of that club would likely be pointing more towards your right heel. So for you, what we want to do is, can you get that pointing more towards your left heel? So that would mean a bit of a shift to the right. So that's creating that K shape I spoke about on the video, where you've got this straight sort of angle here and this K type pattern. So it's the same thing. So that's a visual, and this is also a good drill just to get you tilted back behind. What you notice now is your chin and your nose is back behind in this point, which is where you'd kind of want the low point of your swing to be. If you imagine the swing being one big circle, the lowest point of that swing being about here, and then as we're coming through impact, we're actually traveling up through the hitting area. So setup super key for that. I'd also love you to see your weight about 55% on that right foot. So we're really getting ourselves behind that ball out of dress. And the second part of that is going to be the hand positioning. So we'd love to see those hands back about 6 to 7, 8, 9 inches back relative to where they are currently. You're sort of here. I'd love to see that just more behind the ball, a little bit out of dress. So all this is encouraging us to hit up on the ball throughout the swing. Then when you swing, as I mentioned before, we're trying to get you to stay behind it as much as possible with the driver. So almost feeling like your head's way back here, so that you, by the time you get to impact, you're still back here, and there's a much greater chance of you hitting up on the ball, as opposed to setting up here and then moving on top of the ball, and it's going to be very difficult to hit up on it from there. So that's the main thing in the setup. Now, as we spoke about the takeaway, let's just move into that. So if I just tee the ball up here, what we found with your swing, with your irons as well, from the videos you sent through there, is pretty good distance relative to the ball here at the dress. But what we found from the takeaway is this club moving very much in this sort of fashion here, which then brings the club more over the sort of plane as we would like to see. And then on the way down, it then comes a little bit across, a little bit choppy, creating that sort of slice pattern where we swing left and you tend to get a pull or a slice from there. So what I'd love to see in that takeaway, you've got a couple of feelings you could do here. One's with an alignment stick, one you can just do yourself. So from the setup, I'd love you to feel as though those hands work in, as I mentioned on the analysis, closer to your right thigh in the takeaway. So they're going to almost like move more inward as opposed to outward. Now this is going to feel really crazy to you. So on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of uncomfortableness, you starting to swing in here is going to probably feel like 7 or 8 on that scale. So it's not necessarily going to be something that's playable at this point, but the more you practice this in practice, will then actually get you somewhere in the middle. And the more you practice this, the more comfortable it will become, and then this exaggeration might be more of a 2, 3, 4 on that scale of uncomfortableness, which is much more playable to take out into the golf course. So again, the feeling in practice is right hand or both hands working towards the right thigh, and what you'll notice actually gets the club working a bit more on the inside. So a wonderful checkpoint for you is, can you get the club along the line of your toes at this point, whereas yourself currently it'll be more out in this sort of fashion. Once you start to get that club working on a better takeaway, you'll then notice when you get to the top of the swing, you'll be a bit flatter, a bit more behind you here, which then is a lot less work to get the club back on this inside path, which is what we need to get rid of that slice. So I'm hoping the takeaway has a big influence on this. If you still have some challenges with the slice, please let me know, and we might give you something else that's going to also help, but I think that's just enough for now. So that's the feeling. Now a couple of drills to add into that if you wish to create the same result is you can simply get a golf ball here, a foot or so behind the ball at setup and slightly on the inside. A very simple drill that you can do on a practice range, and what I want you to do from your new setup position is feel like you're sweeping that ball away. So you're just going to sweep that ball away, and you'll notice that's going to get you in a wonderful position here in that takeaway, and then you can continue on your swing. It also starts your swing in a nice smooth fashion rather than a jerky sort of quick takeaway. So a wonderful, wonderful drill. And you can actually go ahead and then hit a shot once you do this on the range. So check your setup, and then we're going to smoothly brush that ball away to the top and then through. So a wonderful drill to help with that takeaway. You can also use an alignment rod. This is quite a good one. So if you get that alignment stick there as a sort of extension of your club, and what we're going to do here is from this takeaway position, as we take the club away now, what we're going to try and do is keep this club, keep the alignment stick rubbing along the thigh in that takeaway. What would tend to happen currently is you probably bring it out here, or even in this with your irons, it's more of this sort of pattern. So you'd want to keep this alignment rod brushing along your left thigh as you take the club away, and that's going to help you again just get into this good position. So you've got a couple of ways to get into that position if just feeling it doesn't quite work. So give that a go there, Harley. I hope that's going to help with the driver. So trying to hit up on it, trying to get that club path a little bit more from in to out, and that setup coupled with that takeaway should get you on a good starting point for that. Again, if you have any challenges still with that slice, there are a couple of other things we can do with your club face and your club path to help with that as well. But I think that's great for now. Any questions, buddy, let me know, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.